the world's longest known cave system. This is crazy.
For the most part, you would have seen the cave through land on line.
I don't know where else you can still do this. I'm sure there's places all over the country, but I only know of one place, and it's here.
It's so good. It's perfect.
We're here at Mammoth Cave National Park in south central Kentucky. It's about an hour and a half north of Nashville, hour and a half south of Louisville, right off of I-65. Mammoth Cave was Mammoth Cave National Park Foundation, formed in 1926. It officially became a national park in 1941, and then in 1981 it became a World Heritage Site.
And it's also the world's longest known cave system. It's over 400 miles that we know of for now. It could potentially even be more than that, but only about 10 miles of that whole thing is available to tour, which is kind of crazy. And then also which I didn't know this, but it's actually the second oldest tour attraction in the US, with the first being Niagara Falls. We're gonna do the historic tour. It's a 2-hour tour. It's about 2 miles, and they say online that it's moderate to strenuous and that there's a lot of stairs. We've been here once before when we first moved back to this area, because Clint grew up in Kentucky, so he's been multiple times, but I had never been. And so we did the Domes and Dripstones tour. So this time when we came up, we thought we'll do something totally different, something we haven't explored before. So we're gonna go and do the historic tour, and I'm really excited to see like kind of a different area. I think it's a totally different entrance. So I'm really excited to go do that.
And it's hot out here, and the cave stays, I think, in the mid-50s all year round. It doesn't fluctuate too far from the mid-50s.
Yeah, so it's going to be nice.
I'm ready to get down there. When you get here, head into the visitor center, check the board for your specific tour and time, and it's going to let you know which shelter to go to. And make sure you get there 5 minutes before your tour leaves. Your tour guides will be there, and about 5 minutes before they leave, they'll start giving announcements, telling you a little bit more about the tour and any specifics to that day or to that tour. So make sure you get there a little bit early to do that. I would say even get here earlier so you can explore the visitor center before you go.
Yeah. Just a reminder, if you do have mobile tickets, to make sure that you take a screenshot or send it to yourself in a message or something. Just print it. Yeah, whatever you can do, because once you start walking down, or even probably getting on the bus for some tours, like, you won't have service.
Yeah, once you get into the park, service can be iffy, so make sure you have a plan for that if you're relying on your phone for your ticket.
Okay, there's no service here. David, put your phone down. You don't need service. We have each other.
This is crazy. No wonder it takes so long for a big group to get through here.
Yeah.
Not the only reason why we're going that way. Up ahead, we'll see a giant dome known as Mammoth Dome, about 180 feet tall. And then you'll turn around and you'll notice that there's this, the fly tower. Don't panic, walk, because it has multiple landings. As long as you stay between myself And when you're actually, you can, maybe take a break on one of the landings and then join the group up.
Got back up to the visitor center from our
Wiped
tour.
off our glasses,
Yes.
wiped off the lens.
Yes.
It's so much hotter and humid outside of the cave. This is what happens to your glasses and your camera lens. When you come out of the cave on a nice summer day.
Came back into the humidity.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was such a cool tour. It was, again, it's been 6 or 7 years, but it seemed a lot different than the tour we did before, which I really enjoyed. And
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts were, but my favorite part was definitely Fat Man's Misery.
Yeah, Fat Man's Misery is probably the most
Interesting.
You feel like a kid again.
Yeah.
Wandering through this part of the cave, but Mammoth Dome was also a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just because you're looking so far down and looking so far up.
Yeah.
That part was really cool too.
But as far as the tour goes, I mean, I would definitely say like it, for us, like, and especially with it being such a nice temperature, it wasn't too bad. You definitely have to like get down low, and you definitely have to kind of crawl around, and
Yeah.
there is a ton of stairs. But like, I mean, yeah, it was really awesome. And,
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind if you're interested in doing this tour. Like, there is a lot of stairs, there is a lot of like maneuvering
You
through
will
rocks.
have to crouch. Yeah, if you're over 5 feet, you're probably gonna have to crouch.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad crouch. It's not like you're hunched over the entire time, but there are stretches where you have to kind of duck. I did bump my head once coming out of Fat Man's Misery. There's kind of a bit of a step up.
Yeah.
And after I got up, I forgot I still need to continue crouching.
And also, like, it's super family friendly.
Yeah.
Because we saw a ton of kids on the tour, so definitely think you can definitely bring your kids. I think they would love it.
The tour guides are great.
Yeah.
The historic tour, they spend a lot of time telling you about the history of the cave, history of the tour guides, how the cave was used during war times.
Yeah.
All some pretty cool stories.
Through it all, there was one constant. For the most part, you would have seen the cave through lantern lights. Whether it be these, large fuel lanterns, or later on petroleum-based and other light sources that would have been used later on. And so you would have seen the cave like this, very mysterious, very dark.
We were in a big group,
Yeah,
probably.
like 60 plus. I think
And-
when I went to get the tickets, I want to say like 60.
And I always worry that with a group that big, it's going to be impossible for us to stay that close to the tour guide and hear everything they have to say. But they do a great job of taking stops, and when they stop, that's when the tour guide will speak. And even with a group that big, the acoustics in the cave, the sound just carries so well.
Yeah.
You don't miss anything that they
No.
say.
I'm an idiot!
So if you have any concerns about the size of a tour group, don't
worry
worry.
about it, yeah.
They do a great job of stopping and waiting. There's 2 tour guides, one in the front, one in the back, and you will have no trouble hearing in that cave. And they always have these lights that the tour guide in the front will, when we reach a certain point, the tour guide will turn on the lights. It looks like you're heading into this black abyss, and then all of a sudden they flip
Yeah.
the light on. You're like, okay, that's where
Yeah.
we're going. One of our favorite things that they did on the previous tour and they did on this tour was they get to a point where they turn off all lights and ask everybody to like turn off cell phones, cover all lights, and just how dark it gets in the cave. And the tour guide will just have one little lantern, like almost like a candle, and it just lights up the entire cave. It's crazy how that one little light can light up such a huge space when it's that dark. Always my favorite, one of my favorite parts. All right, now we're on the hunt for a shot glass.
Look at this little guy. Down to this one.
Let's see.
Or this one. Or I really like them. Now it's lunchtime and we're gonna go grab some lunch.
Yep. If you're visiting Mammoth Cave and you need to find a place to eat, there's places right off the interstate. There's like fast food places. There's Cracker Barrel, but you can get those anywhere. We have come to Five Broke Girls, their Cave City location. They have a restaurant in Horse Cave, which is probably literally 10-15 minutes just north. But there is one closer now in Cave City, which opened in November of 2021. So the restaurant is called Five Broke Girls for herself, her 2 daughters, and her 2 granddaughters.
And their motto is home cooking with a Texas kick. And they've got pulled pork, brisket, I mean anything fried, chicken, catfish, and then they also have their heart burger, which actually was up for one of the best burgers in Kentucky.
So when you walk in, you'll see a sign on the door that says, "We are not a fast food restaurant." They make everything fresh, made to order. So they tell you though, it'll be worth the wait, and we're about to find out. Like any other place that's making food fresh, once it's out, it's out. So brisket, pulled pork, stuff like that can run out. Will probably be one of the first things to run out. So get here early if you have your heart set on something specific on the menu. Neither one of us are getting the burger here because you'll see, or you will have already seen, we've eaten a lot of burgers lately. And I love a good BLT, and this looks awesome. You can see the mayonnaise, you can see how buttery and toasted the bread is, and just stacks of bacon.
What I said was, give me all the bacon.
This is gonna be awesome. It's so good. It's perfect.
Couldn't decide between the patty melt or the chicken tenders, but I went with the chicken tenders because it just sounded so good, and these look so good. Super seasoned. It might be a little hot, but so good.
All right. Got more to talk about this BLT. The toast alone, I could just eat the toast, just take it all away. The toast is so good, so crispy. I don't even know how to do that. You can listen for the crunch of the toast.
And the crunch of the bacon mixed together.
It's so good.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, like when I ordered the chicken, I kind of pictured it looking like this. I kind of pictured it looking like that, not in like a bad way, just like, because I mean those chicken tenders are really good too, but this is like truly like homemade style. Like you can see the spices, and it just looks like a homemade breaded chicken tender. All right, so we had to get one of their homemade chocolate chip brownies to go. I'm not gonna open it yet because it looks a little melted, so, but I'm really excited to try it. But one thing to note is if you come here, if you pay by credit card, there's a 4% fee to use your credit card. So luckily I had enough cash, so I just ended up paying in cash. But just know that when you come here, like if you use a credit card, you will be charged that extra fee. Also, they gave us a corner piece of the homemade chocolate chip brownie, which I know Clint will be super excited about. Yes! So for me, I am much more of a give me the gooey middle chocolate brownies, and Clint is obviously the end piece, and that's why this marriage works. It's great. All right, I'm going for it. It's so good. Honestly, like, it tastes almost like if you've ever had fudge pie, that's what it tastes like minus the crust. It's so good.
So I grew up about 45 minutes from Mammoth Cave, so we would have weekend trips down this way all the time, and we would always stop at Big Mike's. It's a gift shop that is just full of
knickknacks, souvenirs,
they're
t-shirts.
Perfect white elephant gifts too.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Or
like Secret Santa, or like fun little trinkets.
Yeah, or as Michael Scott would say, Yankee swap.
I bought that specifically for Pam.
Yankee swap.
So I had to drag Lauren here to Big Mike's just to go walk around, see all the unique gifts they have. But they also have one of my favorite things. I don't know where else you can still do this. I'm sure there's places all over the country, but I only know of one place, and it's here at Big Mike's. This is always my favorite thing about coming here.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Ta-da! Coke just tastes better in glass bottles. I don't care what anyone says. All right, so that's gonna do it for our time in Mammoth Cave and Cave City. And now we're gonna go get our puppy dog. Excuse me.
Hey.
Excuse me. Oh, okay.
Hey there.
Oh, where are you? Thingy is. Hang on. I know. Okay. Let's go home.